We've got a really exciting one for you today. We're here at SGGT in Chesterfield. I've got the new Ping G440 driver. The G430 was a huge success, so I'm really excited about this one. I flew all the way to Arizona to meet the engineers, to learn about the driver so I can deliver a decent review for you. So I'm going to hit it, see how it performs, and if you stick around to the end, then I'm going to compare it to my new love, the TaylorMade QI35 LS, just to see how it performs, see how it compares, and see which one I'm going to use in the bag this year. But right, let's get straight to the hitting. So the good news for you Ping fans is this driver still looks like a Ping. So we know that the Ping G series hasn't changed in design loads. We've still got the turbulators. We've still got that same shape. We've still got the same similar design on the bottom. But what's really nice on this is we've actually got the carbon fly wrap on all three heads this year. So the low spin, the LST, the Max, and the SFT, the straight flight technology. The carbon fly wrap just has technological advances. It's so much lighter than a titanium sort of crown. And what that's allowed them to do is have a new heavy tungsten weight right at the back of the club, which is you're able to move into 3 different positions, which just drags the center of gravity back, which makes it more forgiving and helps you launch it higher. So that's a huge plus. That's a huge win for us and a huge win for those players who don't use the LST. So another interesting thing about this new driver is that it's actually got a shorter head, a shorter face, sort of like from bottom to top than the G430. And the reason they've done that is because it's allowed them to thin the face without compromising the strength of it. So even though it's thinner, it shouldn't break any easier. But actually what it does is it flexes more, which gives you more ball speed. Now in the last couple of years, the brands haven't really been talking about more distance and more speed because we're sort of right at the limit of how fast drivers can go. So the fact that Ping is saying that this driver is longer than the G430 is massive. Anything that we can do to gain more ball speed is brilliant, and they've been able to make the ball speeds hotter without crossing that legal limit of what's allowed and what's not. So that's really good. Swing number 1, right. So I'd just like to put it out there, it is -3 today. It's really cold, so if my speeds look slow, it's not my fault, it's the weather. I'm obviously ripped at the moment. Okay, good start. That was a pretty good hit, a bit off the bottom. So speed's down there, obviously 104, 155 ball. So a little bit spinny because it was a bit of a low strike. But one of the things I've noticed straight away when hitting this driver, I've played with it on the course, I've hit it in my studio, and I'm obviously hitting it here today, is it is just so forgiving. It's so easy to hit and it's so fun. It's so fun to use. It really feels like a cheat code because I'm able to swing and launch it up in the air high every time. And what I'm really pleased with is how my off-center hits perform. So I've hit loads of shots from all over the face, basically not deliberately, but I'm just not that good. And I never ever get a destructive shot out of this driver. So sometimes when I hit a low spin driver out the toe, spin drops off and I get this weird low hook that I basically can't play with, where I just don't get that with this driver. So that's a huge nod towards Ping and the technology in these clubs. Let's hit another one. Bit toey. Good hit. So that was a pretty good carry. I'm pleased with that shot. 264 off 105 mile an hour club head speed, which is pretty good. The spin on that shot was nice, 2,200, which is right in the sweet spot of where I want it, for a total of 290. So I'm like really happy with that distance, especially given how cold it is. So an interesting piece of technology in the new G440 is this free hosel design. So what they've actually done is removed a load of the material that the shaft tip slots into in the head, which does 2 things. So it makes the heel side of the face flex better, which gives you better ball speeds from heel strikes, which is massive. And it also saves loads of weight, which they've been able to move into this massive tungsten weight at the back. So this head is actually lighter than any head Ping have made before, which has then allowed them to add weight externally, which then obviously produces higher MOI, more speed, more forgiveness. You know, all the stuff we've been talking about this year. Toey, another toe ball. It's fine though, because like the off-center hits work so well on this club. Something that's interesting, you know, obviously with the G425, I think we all can accept now that the Ping sounded really bad. It sounded like a pan, that's my perspective, not anybody else's. But that changed in the G430 where they worked on the sound and it produced a much better club. And they've actually just slightly adjusted it again on the G440, so I think it sounds a little bit better, a little bit more classic, and it's right in that sweet spot of where we want it. The G430 had something like 145 wins across all major tours in the 2 years it was out, so the tour players loved it. There was a lot of non-contracted tour players using the Ping, so they didn't want to change it too much because the feedback was great, but I think they've changed it for the better, and this driver is just brilliant all across the board. Something I really like about just how the way this driver looks is it's quite an elongated design. Now the SFT is much longer still, and the LST is a little bit more compact, but I think that length just gives you more confidence that you're going to be able to launch it in the air. One of the things I found with this driver in particular is just how well it performs off center. It's long when you hit it out the middle, but it's really good when you hit it off center. So if I was a player that was just going to turn up on a weekend, a bit of a weekend warrior, never practices, and just wanted a driver that would work for me every time, this would probably be what I go for, just because I don't feel like I can miss with it, and that is a great thing to be able to go to a golf course and stand there with driver and feel. That was a good hit. Pleased with that. So there's my shots. 155 ball speed, which is pretty slow, 260 carry, decent spin, 2,700, 280 total, 105 peak height. Like, those are very, very acceptable numbers off this driver. Now, I think most brands freely admit that if you wanted to change driver model to model to model, you're not going to see much difference. You're only going to see marginal gains. But if you compare this driver to like the G425, the G410 or the G400, there's masses of improvements here. The head's way lighter. These drivers are more forgiving than they ever have been, and actually I think this one's hotter than Ping have ever been. So if you've got an old Ping or you're looking to change into the new Ping, then you will not be disappointed with how this performs. I really like it. Now, is this as good or better than my TaylorMade? I've got some good data off the Ping, so that's good. Let's hit a few now with the TaylorMade, just to see how it compares. Is it faster? Is it more forgiving? Is it more consistent? I don't know, but let's hit some and find out. Okay, so this isn't really a like-for-like comparison. This is the low-spin TaylorMade QI35, and that's the Ping G440 Max, so that's just the standard head. If it was a true head-to-head, I'd probably be comparing the LST, but I haven't got that, so we're just going to do what I've got. Now, this driver is much smaller in head. It's a much smaller profile. It's much smaller sort of from front to back. The face is way deeper, so it's probably a little bit more aerodynamic, but it's certainly not as confidence inspiring. This driver feels like it's going to come out like a low bullet, where that other thing, I just feel like I'm going to launch it up in the air and hit loads of fairways. So that's something to consider. What do you want to look down on? Do you want to look down and feel like you're going to bomb it fast, or do you want to look down and feel like you're going to hit lots of fairways? I can't answer that for you, but they do look, both drivers do give you very different feelings. Right. Okay. So immediately, there's something about this driver which just means I can swing the club faster. We've seen an immediate jump up in club head speed from 105, 104 to 108, which I'm pleased with. And that's just thanks to the aerodynamics of this. It's obviously smaller profile, it's moving through the air a bit differently. It's got lots of aero on the sole to help it flow through the air better. It also feels very different. So the carbon face feels very different to the titanium in the Ping. I've always found that these carbons, they feel like quite dead off the face, which doesn't sound like a compliment, but by that I mean sort of it's like comes out hot and quite flat with low spin, where that sort of fun, easy to hit feeling I get from the Ping generally just means it's spinning a little bit more. So it might fly a bit straighter, but it may not go quite as far. So we've seen the spin come down to 2,000, the carry 265, the total 291, so a bit further. That wasn't a necessarily great strike, but that's what we're seeing. A bit more distance. Didn't quite feel as easy to hit or as fun as nice as the Ping, but it's sort of gone a little bit further, and it's also gone straight, so can't complain with that one. Yeah, sounds very different too. It's a much deeper sort of pannier sound. So interestingly there, 109 club, so faster still. 160 mile an hour balls, that's 5 miles an hour faster than what I was seeing in the Ping. Carried 270, total 298. Now this is flying flatter because it's not spinning as much and it's launching a little bit lower. Just because it's a smaller head, center of gravity is never going to be as far away from the face as it is on the Ping because Ping's got such a bigger profile. I think it's fair to say that what you need to do is come to somewhere like SGGT where you can try all the heads and all the shafts, because what they're going to do is find the right shaft head combo for you. These clubs are also adjustable now, but there's like millions of different head and shaft combos you can try, and there's going to be one for you that works better than whatever's in your bag. So look, I think the Ping's a really, really high performing driver. I think when you get it in your hands, you're going to swing it, you're going to hit it great, it's going to feel really good off the face, and actually your dispersion downrange is going to be probably better than you've ever seen before. Now if you're looking for something that's just a bit quicker and you're looking for pure distance and you're not bothered about any other metric, the Ping might not be the right thing for you. You know, I've certainly found I've got more distance out of this than I have the Ping, but that's just my own experience. I think that Ping G440 is going to be an enormous success just because of like the new technology and how well it's performed, but you've got to do your due diligence and try all the clubs if you want to find out the true best thing for you.